equity index futures shot higher immediately following that release. Now we were down 0.3%, I think, on the S&P yesterday. That is called a correction in the current market we're having.
You know, Lee, I was watching Squawk Box on CNBC a little earlier this morning, and Cramer made a good point, and it was very simple, but he was of the belief that, you know, maybe the thought of late had been, or when this all started going awry, of course, was that these layoffs were going to be permanent layoffs almost, right? We just had no idea of when we would see people in those positions who'd been filing for unemployment, getting back to work. Well, as we start to open back up, obviously, those people are, in fact, trying to get back to work and not filing claims. So yeah, that's Cramer was heard to say, quote, "We're back," unquote. So take that.
Yeah, and this data, as we'll see when we look at the market, is continuing the outperformance of small caps, cyclicals, and value stocks. And the stay-at-home stocks are lagging because it is a cyclical rotation, which is actually good. Plenty of stocks in the news if we want to do that.
You know me, Lee. I'm a big fan of that segment. You didn't give me your echo, but we'll still do stocks in the news.
There you go. There you go. Let's start with AstraZeneca, AZN.
All right.
All right, not doing too much, but kind of interesting, you know, because people still talking about the virus, so that seems to be in the rearview mirror right now. They are aiming to produce 2 billion doses of their vaccine AZD1222. They're going to have 400 million doses for the U.S. and the United Kingdom, and also another 1 billion doses for those in lower and middle income countries. They hope it will prove safe and effective in clinical trials, but what the CEO of that division has said, Dr. Richard Hatchett, he said that we like the data so much that we're willing to go ahead and risk setting up the manufacturing for it. So they must be pretty confident in it if they're going to gear up even before the last clinical trials are in. All the airlines are going nuts. I'll just give a...
You want just me to show jets?
Yeah.
Because you're right. They are on fire.
Yeah. Anyway, we can put up American Airlines.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of what's going on here. This is the this is the most they've been up. How much are they up? Yeah, 25%.
25%. Right.
Yeah.
There.
This is the biggest one-day surge on record, I think. They said they would boost their July flight 74% versus June. They said that U.S. travelers are returning much more quickly than expected. It's still below total capacity, though, but they said the busiest days in July will have 4,000 flights, up from 2,300 in June. But that July figure is still equivalent to only 40% of their capacity, but it's coming back online much faster than expected. All right. Gap, GPS. Yeah, it looks like
dark cloud cover coming in here, Lee.
Dark cloud cover, yeah, not great news for them. They lost $2.51 a share. The market was thinking they were only going to lose 67 cents. Their revenue was below forecasts, and they did notice an improvement in online sales, and they said 55% of their stores that are company owned in the U.S. are now open. But yeah, not a great report since they missed on revenues and they didn't say anything about guidance. Slack Technologies, work.
They got worked over in the aftermarket, Lee. Sorry.
Yeah. Good one. Anyway, they lost 2 cents a share. That was smaller than what Wall Street was anticipating, which is a 6 cents a share loss. Their revenue beat, but the growth in their paid customer base slowed, and they basically withdrew guidance. So the market didn't like that, obviously.
Yeah.
Restoration Hardware, we had mentioned this one, RH. Chugging along.
Yeah, holding up.
Yeah. They reported a quarterly profit of $1.27. The consensus was only looking for 81 cents. They also had revenue above forecasts. And they also, well, they didn't do a whole lot of guidance. They did say the second quarter is seeing a stronger rebound in business than they had expected. So watch the 10-day there, although we are going up
Sure.
to those highs, right? Is that the all-time highs on those? This hasn't been trading that
Double
long,
check.
right?
Yep, all times.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's kind of settling in here, Lee, and holding that 245 area is pretty interesting. Keep an eye, as you said, keep an eye on that 10-day.
Yep. All right. Broadcom, AVGO.
Yeah, so that's an interesting group too. The semiconductors having
Mm-hmm.
a nice day. Oh,
Yeah. Is that an
that
all-time
looks
high?
ready to break out, perhaps. Right at it, Lee. Right
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Look
Right.
at that.
So keep your eye on that one for a nice move higher if it can break out. Anyway, they matched their estimates with earnings, 514 a share, but their revenue was actually a little bit better than forecasted. They also said that they have seen only a limited impact from the virus, and they saw a big surge in demand from their cloud customers. They did have some supply chain constraints, but they gave a current quarter revenue forecast below consensus. But Piper Sandler came out and called the stock their top pick based on upbeat prospects for the next 12 to 24 months. So
Okay.
overall, a decent report. All right, DocuSign, DOCU.
Seems
They
to
bought
like
it.
that 20 SMA, Lee.
Yeah, they bought it right up, didn't they? Look at that.
Sure did.
Technical analysis is a fantasy. I don't know. I don't know. Two huge candles right to the 20 and then bought it
Yeah.
up. Is that a coincidence? I think not.
I think it
They,
solidifies the 20 as support, Lee.
yeah, I think so.
Breaks below the 20 would be instructive for us.
Yeah. Anyway, they beat by 2 cents. They beat estimates on revenue, and they gave better guidance, which would make this what?
Triple play.
Yeah. All right, Uber.
Uber. Rideshare is going to get a boost here, aren't they, if we're getting back to business?
Yeah. So they said that the Uber Eats has launched a feature that lets Americans and Canadians easily find and order from restaurants owned by African Americans, as their kind of way to show solidity with the protests that are going on for George Floyd. So kind of a socially conscious thing.
Sure.
It does look like, is that tail at the highs back in beginning?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's check the numbers on it. That high is 39.14, 39.15, and then today's peak is 38.78. So we missed it by a bit here, but yeah, kind of ran there.
Yeah.
A little breather. But look at the RSI. Your RSI is giving you the bull market behavior you're looking for. On balance, volume has really come back strongly and holding up a nice level as well.
All right, Cooper Companies, COO.
Okay.
They make medical products, if you're not familiar with them. They reported a profit of $1.51, which was short of the estimates. So they're getting a little bit punished for that in an up market. Their revenue also fell due to weakness in their contact lens manufacturing unit. So The momentum's kind of been wrung out of that one a little bit, but
A little bit. They did buy it up at the 20 though,
yeah,
and trying to hold the 200. So a close on or above the 200 would be informative, being it's about a week and a half above it and holding it. So yeah, keep an eye there. You've an interesting chart.
all right. Contour Brands, KTP, K like
KTP.
no B like
Nope.
B brands.
Like
Yeah.
all right, I got another Lee. A Leeism I'm adding to the list. That's great.
Anyway,
Oh,
they
be
make
like B.
yeah they make Lee and Wrangler jeans. Um,
Oh, okay.
Yep. They noted growth in orders from mass retailers and that their temporary suspension of dividend payments has already been priced into the stocks. So Susquehanna upgraded them to positive from neutral, and looks like market likes that upgrade.
Yeah,
So
kind of breaking away, isn't it?
that's a huge double bottom. Let's do just for fun, let's do our double bottom analysis here. We have the RSI divergence. Let's take a look at the Bollinger Band.
All right. So
We
I'm
didn't
gonna
quite
drill in a
have it
little
though,
here.
did we?
We didn't, no, because this low here we would have anticipated being within the band entirely here if we had that confirmation. We can definitely say that, the RSI was strengthening with this double bottom. So it's an RSI divergence. I agree with you, but yeah,
Yeah.
the Bollinger
We
Band signal did not give it to us.
right. That said, um, so put a line at the middle rung of the W there. Let's do a measured move
Sure,
on this thing.
you got it. So right here is about, we'll call it 22 and a quarter from about
Yeah.
yeah.
So now it's not clear that it's clearing that middle
Yeah.
peak yet. We'll have to see where it closes, but if it does close above there, then the double bottom signal would be intact. And what's the measured move on that then, Kevin?
Um, it's about 13 to 22 approximately. So, about
Yeah,
8 or 9 points.
yeah,
And
that puts you
if
up
you
to
look
the
at,
200-day, right?
yeah,
Almost.
pretty darn close.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that would be a
And look
measured
at,
move target. The way people trade those, if it does close above there, you put a stop under the middle rung of the W, and you go for the measured move.
yeah. So today's close here will be very important, obviously, but you're getting some real nice improvement here. It could just be a scenario where you need a little bit more time, but I think, if you haven't been in it, then you want to wait for confirmation of the breakout of this ledge here at around 22 and a quarter.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Zumez, ZUMZ. They make sports apparel. And they're up, but they had a wider loss than expected, and revenue was below forecast too. So I think they're just getting taken around in the entire cyclical thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a great report.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at Gap GPS.
We looked at Gap.
Oh, we did. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
that's all right.
NVAX, another vaccine play. Ooh, look at that.
It's a nice little setup here, Lee, working
Yeah,
against the 20.
look at that.
Not as
Anyway,
strong on the RSI, right? Because the trend had been but the trend
yeah,
had been great. So what's been going on here of late looks like a lot of digestion is what I'm seeing.
yeah. The news on them, they received $60 million from the Department of Defense for manufacturing their vaccine candidate. And then Navistar, we looked at that yesterday, but now they got an upgrade.
Oops. Did I get that wrong? Nope, I got it right. All right.
They got an upgrade at Baird from neutral to outperform. Also, based on the news on NVAX there,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention they were upgraded to neutral from underweight at JP Morgan. We've got Toll Brothers. We've been watching the home builders.
Yeah, the home builders for sure.
We'll take a look at that when we look at but specifically on this one, yeah, they were upgraded to outperform at Evercore. Interestingly, we looked at the airlines, but um, Raymond James actually downgraded American Airlines. I don't know.
Really?
I didn't have time to read the report, but I just saw the headline.
That
Yeah,
seems a little,
yeah, it
maybe
seems
a little late to be doing that.
You would think so. And then we got a couple of upgrades in the healthcare space from Goldman Sachs.
All right.
You might have heard of them. Let's see. Humana. Well, holding the
Boy,
20.
likes the 20
It does. They
pretty
were
clearly.
upgraded. Yeah, they were initiated at Golden with a buy. And then they also initiated coverage of UNH.
Okay.
And they initiated also with a buy. So there you go.
So they like healthcare.
I guess so.
Yeah. Lee, did you see that you were mentioning home builders? Hovnanian reported as well.
I did not see that one.
Yeah, they reported their second quarter. Let me pull up a chart on them here. Looks like they came in earnings per share 63 cents. Q2 rev rose 22%, 538 mil. Got a nice little breakout here on the chart.
Yeah.
So that
Well,
looks pretty interesting as well.
yes.
All right, look at that RSI, Lee.
Bull market behavior for sure. All right. I got to turn over to you.
All
Look
right.
at the indices.
Well, let's start it out as usual with the S&P. Let's see how we have continued this little crazy rally here, Lee. Look at this, just really the 20 not as important as the 10 here with the S&P. We can see we broke out of this resistance spot 2 weeks back, and it has since been trending. So the 10-day has been held here, Lee, going back to May 18. Okay, that's really important. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So keep a close eye on the 10-day. The momentum here continues to rule the S&P, and Lee and I will continue to likely suggest not to fight against what you're seeing, regardless of how you might be feeling. Now, we're starting to get some data to support some of what the market has been up to for the last month or so here.
Yep. You can see, let's zoom in on the last few days.
You got it. Let me just add a watermark at the request of one of our attendees here. Give you the last few days here a little more close.
I would just go to just say you can see yesterday was our correction.
that's what that little doji was yesterday, huh? Just a
That's
correction.
right. That's what passes
Right.
for a correction in this momentum market. 0.3%.
It really doesn't seem to last long, if at all.
No.
So yeah. I was going to look at intraday here, Lee, but I'm not. I don't know. I mean, everything's gapped. We ran to R3. Okay, so resistance 3 up above. Probably expect us to, in worst case, hold R2 throughout the day. But, I know short-term traders want to see us hold the bottom of our open, probably. Notice the 20 EMA that's sloping up real well to kind of catch up here. Could act as some short-term intraday support.
All right. We have an opportunity for a teaching moment. Barry
Cool.
in Minnesota wants to know what is driving the Dow Jones big move today. Why don't we go over to Schwab.com and show them the heat map on the Dow Jones and TradeSource, just so you can answer that question.
All right. So go back into
TradeSource markets.
TradeSource markets. We'll just scroll down the page here.
You see, it's the snowstorm stocks. They're all white. Okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
It wants to keep going. It really does, Lee. Everything's just rendering a little slow on my side of things this morning, everybody. So bear with me just a moment. Here we go.
Keep going. There we go. So it is Boeing that is leading.
Yeah, so airlines, again, that's interesting that Boeing is up that much.
You can see it's because of the airlines. You can see it is basically energy, financials, and industrials. Well, of course, industrials because it's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but
Right.
you can see it's yeah. So anyway, if you want to know what's moving, and just go up just a little bit just to show
Sure.
what other indices people can see the heat map for. Yeah, so there you go. If you want to know what's moving in any of those major indices, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can change your time frame too. So if
Yep.
it's not just today, if you want to see what's happened since say late March, something like that, you can start to see which performed best off the bottom, etc. But heads up that our next segment is actually making the most out of Schwab.com. So if you guys would like to see more about use of the website, that's the segment to stick around for. All right, Lee, let's jump back into Edge here. Let's see, there we go. Peek at the NASDAQ. Oof. Right there, Lee.
Yeah.
We know the NASDAQ 100 made new highs yesterday, but the NASDAQ composite pretty darn close to.
Yeah, I mean, they're lagging a little bit because you are getting this rotation into the value and cyclical names.
Mm-hmm.
So the S&P is doing better, as is the Russell, too.
Yeah, the Russell up
But I mean,
4%.
you can't argue with the Nasdaq being at all-time highs.
Oh
So
no,
right
I don't think none of us would argue with it, of course. Looking good, but the big move of the day is in the Russell here. 4% move. The Russell and the transports being our big leaders. We've talked a lot about the performance of the Russell, the outperformance of the Russell. I'll remind you real quickly, if we take a look at the price relative study, the Russell's been leading even the S&P.
Yep. They got a lot of exposure to energy and financials, and that is what is.
Exactly why.
And that's exactly why.
So, yeah, great look at chart here. Busting through the 200, of course. Certainly want to consider something like, the next 3 days closing above the 200, maintaining the 200 being a pretty good indication of what we would like to see. But again, we'll call out that 10-day because, yes, the 200 is right here, but the 10-day represents the best support that we've seen for the Russell for the last 3 weeks. And really, that's the behavior that you want to watch. That's the behavior that if it changes, lets you know what you should be thinking about for the most immediate future thereafter. Let's check the transports, Lee. We already know that they're having a banner day.
Back above the 200-day moving average.
Yep. I mean, I'm just going to reiterate everything I just said. Watch the 10-day for support and see if we can't get 3 closes above the 200 to kind of give us some added confidence that this has got some legs to it. It's really nice to see, though.
It is.
Lee, the big reason I think that we're seeing some extra confidence here has a lot to do with the 10-year, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. We're going to 1%. That's actually Kathy Jones' target for the year is 1%.
It certainly looks like it wants to get there.
Yes, it does. And this is kind of the bond market finally saying, well, you stock market traders are looking for growth. We didn't believe it. And now they're saying, well, maybe we could look for a little growth. Just a little. Yeah, exactly.
It's nice to have that, too, because it was the one area that I think you and I were collectively a little dubious of. The fact that the bond market wasn't buying in was a pretty good signal that maybe we shouldn't have our foot to the floor necessarily, right?
Yeah, and on charting the markets, we'll look at the yield curves because this is what you want to see. It's called bear steepening. That's what we want to see.
They don't call you the best in the business for nothing, man. What a tease. You're absolutely right. We'll be back for charting the markets a couple hours later. All right. What do you say we do some sector review here to kind of point out what you've been talking about, the rotation? Again, energy as a leader here is a big deal. Really getting up off the mat. Look at this thing, just screaming to the 200, it would seem. Bull market behavior out of the RSI, which is now into the overbought signal over 70. 200-day is looming, but that's 50 and change. That's 6 points away.
Yeah.
Might have a brief, pause up here at around 48.
But we've totally filled that gap now, right? I can't.
Yeah, that gap
exactly
is
see.
long gone now. At least that gap. This
Yeah,
one
that's
here.
it. Yeah, that's what I was talking
That's
about.
been filled. Now we've created a gap today.
Right.
Let's, from a short-term standpoint, you're obviously going to want to hold the low of today. But that's an improving chart. And while the 10-day does look very impressive here, the 20 is even more so.
All right, another teaching moment. Someone wants to see how you put on those moving averages.
All right, we can do that. So that's as simple as opening up our drawer along the right rail here, everybody. Whoops, not colors. We get into studies and view all studies. You add them just by clicking the plus sign here, whether you want the simple, which is what we rely on most consistently. You do have exponential moving averages. You got a couple from which to select here, but you get them added, and then once they're over here under your selected studies, this is where you want to start to change them. So you want to manipulate your period. Your default here, everybody, is to 20. So if I loaded 4 of them, as I often will, I have to come in and alter the period, alter the color, alter the style or weighting of the line. So everything is customized to the way that I want it. So make sure you're making your adjustments along the way here. With all of your specific details. So this is the 10, the 20, the 50 moving average on these charts. These are the daily charts, so they are the daily moving averages. So pretty standard approach. And the best part is, Lee, at least one of the things that I really enjoy about Edge is, once you get them added, you can minimize them or hide or show them at your discretion. So it becomes really an easy way for someone like me to host this show and highlight the tools and the studies that I want to highlight little by little without having to consistently add them back. It's just a left click, left click, left click. They hide and show real easily.
Yeah, we had a request to look at the VIX. We were
Sure.
talking on charting the markets yesterday about how it was at the support. Let's see if it broke support. It was about 25-ish.
Yeah, I think it was right on the 200-day. Yeah, and it's falling through it as we speak.
Yeah, so we talked about that could have been a place where last time it rallied. It was at actually the low of that candle. Just go up a little bit. That's what we looked at yesterday.
This one here.
That tail right there. And we said that last time that kind of when it hit that level and bounced, that's why we were looking at that 25 level.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're actually below it. So that is it's good. It means that pullback that we could have been seeing, maybe we won't see. So it's good.
Yeah. Take it. Okay. You said the XLE.
Let's look at the XLY.
All right.
But then the RCD, because Amazon is lagging a little bit today.
So there's your XLY, which is, I believe that's all-time high, isn't it, right there?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and then let's look at RCD.
Okay. So the XLY is pretty close to getting back to that all-time level.
Yeah, so this will probably put its way up there also. So let us look in discretionary today. We haven't done that for a while.
Sure. No, we haven't. I like that.
Discretionary above the 200-day. Let's see what we get.
Okay. Let's do it. And hey, Carol, you're absolutely right. Carol's mentioning, by the way, that what I did with my study ad in View All Studies, quick heads up, everybody. It's also something you can change or add as a right-click function in your charts. It's one of the things about the platform here. If you're a right-click navigator like I am, you really lean heavily on that right click, and it's a really efficient way of getting those details added, especially if you know exactly what you want. Getting it all built out wholesale, it makes a lot of sense to me to go into view all studies that way that I showed. But you're right, Carol, you can absolutely adjust and manipulate your studies really quickly on the fly with a right click. Lee, did you say you wanted to do all of discretionary? We don't want to kick anything out, right?
Right.
Okay.
And let's look and put it over the 200, see if that cuts it down at all.
You got it. So we've got last trade greater than 10, last trade above the 200 SMA, the average volume 500,000 shares for the last 6 months, A's and B's, so well rated by the Schwab Equity Ratings platform. We got 26, Lee. That sounds like a good number to me.
That does.
Let's check it out. So we'll save it as a watch list, and I've reached my maximum. So another quick teaching moment for you all. We'll come back to my watch list. I'll right click in my tab here, and you'll notice I have manage saved watch lists. And so I'll just go ahead and eliminate a couple of these, and that'll allow me to save this one for today. Go. All right, save as watch list. Back into my watch list, a quick right click, and find our discretionary 6.5. There we go. So Lee, there's a few names in here that we probably could look at that would have some.
First request was Amazon.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to hear that. He said sarcastically. All right, Amazon.
All right. So first, the question was, what are your thoughts about buying it? This totally depends on your time frame. If you're an investor, probably 10 years from now, it's great. If you're a trader, then you could look to do it with a stop under that swing low that when it went below the 20-day moving average.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to put a stop there, or in that area, for a shorter term trade, because that'll be the 50-day moving average in just a little while too.
Yeah, to me, Lee, you said exactly what mattered the most. It's always about your time frame, right? So yeah, shorter term trader who likes what's happening with the 20-day SMA, I could certainly understand it. You're getting some good confirmation from the on balance volume line. That's the pink dotted line I'm showing here. The RSI is lagging a little bit, but it's held up the 50. It hasn't even touched the 50 level here on the pullback. So this is even an appropriate pullback area. And I think it just comes down to, as is often the case, Lee, how you feel about buying stock at certain levels, right? It's easiest to buy when things look fantastic. Of course, it's not necessarily the best time to buy. So I'd pick out a few levels. I think shorter term, the 20 makes a lot of sense, but any opportunity to buy up around the 50-day, I think would be a spot where intermediate traders would be looking to certainly start a position if they didn't have one.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing in a lot of these stay-at-home stocks is you can see they're lagging today, just because of this rotation that's going on. So it wouldn't surprise me that Amazon in the short term might lag a little bit.
Sure.
It does mean it has to go down. It just means that you wouldn't get the really bigger moves that we've been seeing from some of the other areas. But it's obviously a bullish chart in any time frame, really.
Good way of saying it, Lee. Good way.
All right. Next one was Home Depot. We pointed this one on lows out a while ago.
Yeah, they've been on a tear. Look at how Home Depot has been since it broke its 20-day here. This was
how about
April
the 10?
6th.
Yeah, how about the 10-day? Is that
any better?
As
consistent. Wow.
There you go.
That's really tight.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Very short-term traders would use that to follow.
Hey, can I answer a question here from George, who's asking about possibly seeing some videos on Schwab.com regarding on balance volume and RSI? I don't think they're in Schwab.com yet, but you can find them on the Schwab YouTube channel, Lee, right?
Right. Yeah, you and I did them. I think you did both of those. I think
I
those.
think I did do both on balance volume and RSI.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if you do Schwab YouTube as a Google search, you can absolutely find that page there at YouTube. We got a lot of good content up at YouTube, to be honest. Some good educational video stuff for you guys. Also not only just the trading side, but also on the investing side too. So there's some good stuff out there if you're interested.
All right. Next one was big lots.
Big lots. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting that it's testing the 10 here, Lee.
Yeah. So at this point, maybe you wanted to get back above there or buy it on a deeper pullback. Where's the 20? Could it pull back there? Let's see.
Mm.
Mhm. You know, it looks like it was flagging, but it looks like you might have broken the little horizontal trend line, the very little one at the bottom of the flag there. Or you're right at it.
35.80. I want to look at it on the intraday and see if we can learn anything. So the one thing that stands out to me here, Lee, is the intraday volume is very light. So 65% light versus the 5-day average.
Which
We
is good
do
in a
like to
pullback.
see, what's
Yeah.
that?
You want to see that in a pullback, though.
Yep, we like to see that volume lightening up. Even though it's trending lower today, you got 3% move lower. One has to wonder if that's just too short-term support. You know, one of the ways that I like to do it is just this way. I like to take it back into an hour-long bar, so 60-minute bars, which can help to kind of show what action is most important of late. So this is the ledge, Lee.
Yeah.
And really, if this ledge is held, meaning if buyers are suddenly here, and look at the RSI, way down oversold levels here on this type of chart. This looks like it's either prepared to bounce or prepared to fall to, about 33. One
Yeah.
of the two.
So nobody knows for sure. The positives are the lower intraday volume. The negative is that's the first time in a long time in this uptrend on the hourly chart that you got to an oversold level
That's
on
also true.
the RSI, which is shorter term. That's a shorter term negative that you could get.
Hmm.
That could happen.
Yeah, and it could easily just fall through this ledge here, Lee, and be at 33 as a result, right?
Let's go to the daily and see where 33 is, if that's
Okay.
any level.
So, how about that, Lee?
Aha, the 20-day moving average. Yes, I love it when a plan comes together.
As do I. That's great. So that's pretty interesting there. I think you have some levels to work with now.
Yeah, but I would wait and see a little bit. You might get a better price.
I agree. All right, what's next on the list?
GNTX.
Okay. All right, there's a little bit of a Royal Rumble going on with my dogs in the background, everybody. I apologize if you're hearing it.
I thought the dogs were in your account. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
I expect
Okay.
that from you. Let's see here. Not the 20, but probably the 10
Yeah,
of
10
late.
and the
Nice.
200.
Yeah, the 10 and the 2. Look, this is what I like, Lee, right here. This lovely little consolidation that kind of foretold a little more trend coming here.
Yeah, so you could use either the 10 or if you wanted a little tighter, maybe the 200 or yesterday's low, either. But yesterday's lows are right around the 10, so maybe that's what you're getting
Yeah.
good on balance confirmation. So
Yeah, looking strong there too.
nothing wrong with this chart.
Nope. Okay, let's see.
DG was the next one.
DG, Dollar General. Broken the 10, but I bet that tail we're seeing, I'll bet that hits the 20. Even through the 20.
Yeah. So
Well,
let's look at the volume over the last in this pullback to see if it is picking up or not. Let's go to the either hourly or the 5-minute.
All right, so average daily, it's flat, about the same.
Yeah, so
Mm-mm.
so you're getting a little bit of less volume on the pullback. Again, some people in pullbacks would wait to get in. You want to see it take out the previous day's high, because if it's going to go back up, that's what's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. Now, when that's too far away, then you do what Kevin did and go to the intraday chart and see if there's any level which acted as kind of intraday resistance, and you wait till it clears that, even though it's not the previous day's high. So
I think the area to eyeball, I think you got to get to a spot where you're above the 20 EMA here, Lee.
yeah, maybe even the pivot. So
Yeah, I mean, at least from a standpoint, the pivot would be fantastic, but that seems to be a hope and a prayer on a day like today for some reason, because the breakdown that you're seeing here, the fact the huge ugly candle to start the morning, this just feels like short run weakness here to me.
yeah.
So,
So it's like you could be trying to hold the 20, but
mhm. So real quick, I know we're up against it here, Lee. 20 SMA, 20 EMA. The way that we have them on the charts, we rely on the 20 periodically when we're looking at the daily charts. So the 20 SMA, simple, just keep it simple because that's what most people look at for the most part. When we're looking at the daily charts, that makes a lot of sense to us, I think. But additionally, on the intra period, we like that 5 EMA. Lee, what's the thought process there? I know that's one that that you've brought to the table. It's worked for me as well, but I'm curious about the thought process behind it. I know it's something traders follow, though.
it is. It's I mean, if you want to follow what day traders follow, many day traders follow the 20-period exponential moving average on 5-minute charts. Why? I don't really know, but I do know that you just read enough books and you talk to enough people, that's what people look at. So if you want to take advantage of any self-fulfillment, you may want to look
Mm-hmm.
what everybody else is looking at. And as you can see, it's usually pretty good.
Oh, right here. I mean, it's banging the price action, banging its head right on it. And once it breaks through it, you might expect it to drag itself all the way up to the pivot if that happens. That's the first thing that has to occur. Obviously, you got to get above something like that.
Yeah. Although in its little rebound attempt today, the volume is picking up a little bit. So yeah, first hurdle would be that 20 EMA. Next hurdle would be probably those lows at the end of yesterday.
And you could say that this position's actually holding S1 after having gotten back above it.
Yeah.
All this action here for the last, half hour holding the S1 line is positive. So if it does in fact pop up and start trading, in the neighborhood of above 185 and change here, things are starting to look a lot better.
Yep.
One final answer I wanted to give to a question was from Michael in regards to the RSI. So Michael, I think what you're referencing are the 70, the 50, and the 30 lines. Perfect. So in the RSI, so you need to have the RSI study in a pane in order to get those lines. So those lines are associated with the relative strength indicator specifically. If you are highlighting or offering the RSI by making sure it's shown, and then you add other studies over it, you might lose the lines periodically. Like the volume goes, when I add volume in, you can't see the lines. If I put on balance volume in, though, I can still see the lines. So it kind of depends on which studies you're matching up in the pane. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Michael. And with that, I'm going to let us wrap it up. So Lee, thanks as always. As you noted, we'll be back a little later for charting the markets today. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern. Up next, make the most out of Schwab.com. That's with regional investment strategist Mark Idam and my friend as well, Craig Porzinski. So make sure you guys stick around for that. And we'll see you in charting the markets a little later. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Friday.
Take care.